recognized symbol of excellence for your entertainment.
Lippy, lippy, or pipey sinking.
Welcome to Machino Music, the show that puts the music in Machino music, with your host, me, Brett Strong. Today on Machino Music, it's Ozzy Osbourne album ranking. That's right, the Prince of Darkness. Okay, Ozzy Osbourne album ranking. A lot of albums to get through here. Got a big discography. Just recently announced his retirement from touring. You know, he's had a lot of health problems, been through a lot. Ozzy actually is, I would say, one of my personal heroes. Just a really cool, fun guy. You never heard anything like, any real personal story to him, he's just being a total dick. Like, for the most part, he just sounds like just a nice guy. Just, you know, under the influence. Substance abuse, I mean, it'll do that to you. It'll, you know, make you do crazy things. But, other than that, I mean, when he's just clean and sober, actually seems like just a great guy. I'd love to be best friends with Ozzy. Be so cool. But yeah. So yeah, I'm a big Ozzy Osbourne fan. And this is how I like the albums. If you like them differently, that's perfectly okay. We're allowed to like things differently for different reasons. So I tried my best here. This is a big discography, so I tried my best to rank it the very best I could. So let's get started here. Starting at the bottom with Patient Number 9, the most recent album. I actually don't mind some of the songs on here. Like, there's some good tunes on here. There's a good album to be found in here. I just really, the production on this album is absolute garbage. I mean, Andrew Watt, who was like Post Malone's producer, kind of brought Ozzy back, because Post Malone did that song, Ozzy Osbourne's song on it, kind of brought Ozzy out to a new audience. And then Andrew Watt was like, "Hey, I'm going to produce you, Ozzy. People want to hear it." And I don't know, this album, it just feels kind of thrown together. I don't know. I mean, it's got great guest stars. I mean, Jeff Beck is on here, one of the last things he did. Jeff Beck, phenomenal guitar player. Ozzy brings back Zakk Wylde on here. Tony Iommi. I mean, that's amazing that Tony Iommi was back with Ozzy. Eric Clapton. The production is just garbage. I would rather listen to the sound of urine in a toilet bowl. I'd rather hear the sound of pee than listen to the production on this album. I mean, there's some great songs on here, but it's just, the production is garbage. I could not get through this album on first listen. I mean, I like the title track, but even then, like, and Ozzy sounds so programmed, like he's basically a robot. So I don't know. It just, there's a good album. I'll say there's a good album in there somewhere, but just Andrew Watt production is garbage. Absolute garbage. And you can say that about this album too. Ordinary Man. Now, a bit better, because this was kind of like, this was Ozzy's, if he'd gone out on this album, like he said, like, I'm not doing anything more, this is my final album, this would have been perfect. And I think, you know, when all's said and done, I think some fans, I know I will, kind of look at this as the last Ozzy Osbourne album. Because at least there's like a lot of songs about his mortality, and just, you know, and it's just sort of like about his life. And I mean, Under the Graveyard is a fantastic song. I mean, that's a masterpiece, that song. I mean, that's probably one of the best tunes Ozzy ever did. That's a fantastic tune. I really like the collaboration with Elton John, the title track, Ordinary Man. But, you know, for the most part, again, the production. It's pop sheen production by a guy who really shouldn't be mixing rock music. Shouldn't be doing heavy metal. Doesn't sound good. a pop producer. It can be done, but maybe not Andrew Watt. Garbage production on this one as well. So that's why those two are at the bottom. But yeah. There's good albums in there. Because there's still some good songwriting, but production. Poo! Okay. Now we go to Black Rain. This is usually at the bottom. I mean, a lot of these more recent Ozzy Osbourne albums are really not well liked by fans. They're kind of like very by the numbers type albums. But you know, this one has some good tunes on it. I mean, is it particularly memorable? Not really. I like Not Going Away. I Don't Want to Stop is a pretty good tune. The Almighty Dollar, remember? Civilize the Universe, pretty cool. Trapdoor, kind of a ridiculous song, but I don't mind it. But yeah, this album, like overall, just kind of forgettable. Same with this one, Scream. I mean, just kind of very by the numbers, and you know, overall not very memorable. But there are some good tunes. I actually like Let It Die. Big, heavy intro. I like the title track, or sort of the title track, Let Me Hear You Scream. I like that tune. Soul Sucker's okay. Actually, I was just in my local record store, and they're playing this album randomly. Yeah, I mean, it's just cool to be in a store and you hear metal, you hear Ozzy Osbourne, you hear Let It Die playing. I mean, you're not gonna hear like Ozzy Osbourne playing if you're in Sephora. Not a bad album, but just overall kind of forgettable. This one was really good when it came out. I really dug this one when it came out. Down to Earth. Big deal. It's 2001. My first year of college. I remember like leaving school. I took the bus to school, then I would come home on the bus, and I remember just going, the bus stop was like right at the mall, so I would like just walk, I went right in. As soon as I got off the bus, went right in, bought this album. Day it came out. And it was pretty good. I mean, over time, maybe it's a little bit kind of forgettable, but still, Gets Me Through is a great tune. I really like that one. Facing Hell, I like. Dreamer is a really good ballad. Probably one of the best ballads Ozzy ever did. And, you know, I mean, he said in the Prince of Darkness liner notes that that Dreamer is his Imagine. And it's a very kind of Imagine type tune. Ozzy wanted to be John Lennon. That was his hero. And so I think he succeeded kind of making an Imagine type tune. That I Never Had is an awesome song. Heavy, heavy tune. Love that one. But again, overall, kind of sort of forgettable overall. I mean, especially as the years have gone on. But I remember really liking it at the time. And the songs that stand out on this one still stand out for me, but yeah. Next up, OZZMOSIS. Yeah. This is a very strange album. Kind of all over the place. I think Ozzy had a couple of albums like that. Where, like, there was a time where, like, I don't know, just experimenting, which is cool, but, I don't know, something that got a little out there and made the albums a little uneven, but this one's really cool. Perry Mason, awesome. Love Perry Mason, one of my favorite Ozzy tunes. I Just Want You's good. Thunder Underground, really heavy. See You on the Other Side, which the original version had horns on it. An Ozzy Osbourne tune with horns on it. Yeah. I actually would have liked to have heard that on the actual album. That would have been cool. For something a little different, but of course the production just sounds very dry. And actually Ozzy said again in the Prince of Darkness box set liner notes that you know, he actually preferred the horns and would have liked to have kept it, but they're kind of like, so it just kind of leaves the production just kind of sounding very flat. The horns add a lot more character to it, so that song I think could have been better if they kept the horns on it. But you got that demo version. My Jekyll Doesn't Hide, pretty good tune. I really like that one. And Old L.A. Tonight is actually a very underrated Ozzy ballad. But overall, it's kind of like just kind of uneven. It's a little all over the place. This is another one I would say is kind of all over the place, although a better album. We're starting to get into kind of like the classics here, the ones I really like. But yeah, love Bark at the Moon. This is a fantastic album. I remember getting this, and just like, this is really cool. I mean, of course, the title track. You're No Different is great. Now You See It, Now You Don't. Rock and Roll Rebel. One of my favorite Ozzy tunes, Center of Eternity. Starts all very with the big organs, kind of similar like Mr. Crowley would kind of start with a big organ, but this one's like really got the church singers, got the church bell on. It's kind of like, and then it just gets really heavy, and it's a classic Ozzy Osbourne questioning what does it all mean. He had a lot of songs questioning what does it all mean. What are the answers? We can't figure out what is going on in the world. A lot of tunes like that, and that one's a classic. So Tired is just, I mean, it's just a flat out ballad. And then you have a Slow Down, which is almost like a new wave tune. It's got like big keyboards on it. And it's just, so those two kind of really stand out. So Tired and Slow Down, they're just like, well, out of nowhere. But yeah, Slow Down's just very, very poppy. Like it's got like these, it just sounds so totally different compared to what else is on this album. And the last track, Waiting for Darkness, is really cool. Really like that one. But yeah, I think this is a really good album, but there's just kind of moments where it just maybe it's a little uneven. But yeah, the first one with Jake E. Lee on guitar. I was a big Jake E. Lee fan. I really liked, Jake E. Lee. Okay, this is where it kind of got difficult. I mean, I could have put Bark at the Moon higher. I don't know. Again, this is how I like the albums. This is where it kind of started to get difficult. But I'm trying my best here. Next, from 1991, No More Tears. This is a pretty big album. I mean, of course, the title track. I love the title track. That's still a great tune. That one, I mean, it plays on the radio still a ton. But, and it's just kind of one of those well-known Ozzy tunes. But yeah, that's one of those songs I don't ever really get tired of. I still really like No More Tears. Mr. Tinker Train, great. I Don't Want to Change the World, like that one. Sin, or S-I-N, I always really like that tune. That one's really cool. Mama, I'm Coming Home. I was never really a huge fan of that tune. I mean, it's a classic Ozzy tune, and it's like one of the ones, he wrote it for Sharon. So, I mean, I don't know, but I'm never really a big fan of that song. Got Randy Castillo, one of my favorite drummers. Love Randy Castillo. Yeah. And Bob Daisley was writing a lot of these songs. That's the thing with Ozzy Osbourne. He was a songwriter, but not a traditional songwriter. He would have ideas. He would sort of jam out the ideas and just kind of ad-lib and throw stuff out there. He'd come up with melodies. Great melody writer. And have some words, but Bob Daisley would then take that stuff and, construct an actual song. So he's the real unsung hero. Next one, this might be a little controversial because it's such a classic album, but I had to rank it somehow. Diary of a Madman. Can only find my vinyl copy. So this is only the only one I'm showing that's on vinyl. This could be higher. A lot of people put this as right at the top. I mean, this is a fantastic album. I mean, this was one of the first things I heard. I mean, Over the Mountain, awesome song. Flying High Again. You Can't Kill Rock and Roll. Believer, one of my favorite Ozzy tunes. Love that song. Love that riff. Little Dolls is cool. Of course, the title track. Awesome. Yeah, this is such a great album. I could put this right at the top, but this is where it got difficult. I had to put this one somewhere. Okay. We're in the top 3, everybody. No Rest for the Wicked. This album just means a lot to me. I mean, I have a connection to this album. And these next 3 were the hardest for me to rank because I have such a connection to these next 3 albums. I mean, I just listened to the hell out of this album when I first heard it. I mean, it was recommended to me. I had a guitar teacher who said, An Ozzy album you gotta hear is No Rest for the Wicked. Miracle Man, all about Jimmy Swaggart, the disgraced evangelist who got caught with a stripper or a prostitute.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
And, you know, literally got caught with his pants down, as the song states. Love Miracle Man. Devil's Daughter, fantastic. Crazy Babies, another great tune. Breaking All the Rules, heavy. Used to listen to that a ton. I mean, I just listen to the hell out of this album. Fire in the Sky, another one of my favorite Ozzy Osbourne tunes, is on here. Yeah, just love this album. Have such a connection to it. Used to listen to it so much. First album was Zakk Wylde. Zakk Wylde just really makes a statement on this album. I mean, some people get kind of tired of his pinch harmonics, his squeals, but I don't know, so distinctive. I mean, you know it's Zakk Wylde, but that's him. I mean, he's just one of my favorite guitar players. And of course, you know, Randy Castillo on here. Yeah, I just love this album. Hard to rank. I know. Then I got to go Ultimate Sin, another one that's just so. I used to listen the hell out of this. I mean, probably my favorite Ozzy Osbourne song is the title track, The Ultimate Sin. I love that. I love the way it starts with the big drums and then that riff. And the music video's hilarious. It's Ozzy like as a Texas oil man or something. He's just like, and he takes his boot off, his cowboy boot off in the office just randomly, and then he throws the TV into the swimming pool. Yeah. Great. Shot in the Dark, another one of my favorite Ozzy tunes. Love it. Killer of Giants, another one of my favorite Ozzy tunes. This was kind of the hair metal Ozzy. Like around like Bark at the Moon, he kind of started going into that hair metal. This is probably the most like glam he got. He started kind of going like back into like the heavier stuff, especially like with No Rest for the Wicked, which was after this. That was kind of a bit of darker, heavier album, more sound like classic Ozzy. But this is probably the closest he got to being like the glam metal thing, but he did it really well because it's not full into the glam metal, I would say. It's more just how he was dressing at the time. But yeah, absolutely just love this album. And this almost made it number one. I know, controversial. But my number one has to be Blizzard of Oz. The more I think about it, it's just like, this is the first one I heard. This is what really got me into Ozzy Osbourne. I was like I've been a fan of metal, but like, I just kind of like started listening to other things. I've always listened to other kinds of music. I've just been listening to everything. That was always my thing. I listen to all kinds of music. And I had an uncle who turned me on to this, gave me a cassette tape that had Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman on it. Side A was Blizzard of Oz. So that was the first thing I put in. First time I heard I Don't Know. That was my first exposure, like real exposure to Ozzy Osbourne. Like really hearing his music and just like, whoa, that is awesome. That riff, and again, classic Ozzy song about questioning what does it all mean. Don't come to me for all the answers, I don't know. Yeah, love it. Crazy Train, of course. Goodbye to Romance, just sort of his talking about like just leaving Black Sabbath and that period of his life. D, you know, this little guitar interlude by Randy Rhoads, kind of what he was really all about. More of a classical guitar player. He was too good to be just doing heavy metal. I mean, that guy, I mean, if he hadn't tragically died, I think we would have gotten a very different Randy Rhoads. He wouldn't have stayed, I think, doing heavy metal very long. He would have been like doing like whatever. He would not. I mean, that guy was just too good to just do one thing. Suicide Solution. Mr. Crowley, awesome. Revelation, Mother Earth, I was really... Steal Away the Night. The only song I was never a big, huge fan of, it's not a bad tune, is No Bone Movies, about an addiction to porno movies. It's just kind of a throwaway. But, I mean, Ozzy's personality, I mean, it kind of fits, I guess. This would have to be my favorite because it was my first big exposure to Ozzy Osbourne. First thing I heard, I just, like, wow, gotta get into this guy, or really get into this guy. And life-changing album, this one. So this pretty much had to be my number one. This is how I liked them, this is how I ranked them the very best I could, especially that part of the catalog. So, there you go. If you like these albums differently, that's perfectly okay. But if you're an Ozzy Osbourne fan, I hope you enjoyed this. That's it for this week. Until we meet again, this is Brett Strong saying good journey.